Warlords of Sigrdrifa, Rusalka Review. Readers may already be familiar with the name Warlords of Sigrdrifa, thanks to the anime adaptation that aired back in 2020, written by ReZero author Taipei Nakasuki. Now Yen Press has brought the first of the prequel light novels, Warlords of Sigrdrifa Rusalka, to the English market for those looking to sample more in the franchise. The story takes place on Earth, where humanity is threatened by mysterious pillars that appear suddenly and leaves mass destruction in their wake. Before retreating temporarily to fight back, the Norse god Odin has gifted some young women with the title of Valkyries, the capable Deus Ex Machinas, special magically enhanced planes based on those used during World War II, and are capable of defeating the pillars in battle. While the anime series is set in Japan, the series takes place in Europe and follows Rusalka Evereska, a second-generation Valkyrie. One day she meets Amy, the single member of the first generation, renowned for her success on the battlefield, who goes around shop supporting whichever areas need more firepower or find themselves at the brink of being wiped out. The two form a close friendship, and eventually Rusalka and her squad are invited to join Amy and form a new unit that fights on the front lines. Amy is humanity's hope, but the second generation of Valkyries struggle to keep up with her due to lacking the same level of proficiency or simply power. Even Rusalka's unit, whose members are unusually talented, isn't without problems during the few missions that take together with Amy. Because of this and because Rusalka lacks confidence in her abilities, it turns out that over which all hurts, Amy and the rest of her comrades who has chosen to move to the new unit. Not long after Rusalka learns that Amy and her friends have been wiped out during the mission, full of remorse for not having joined the squad. Rusalka retires from her role as a Valkyrie and sinks into a depression. This continues until she meets Alejandro Osley, someone who, just like Amy, may be about to change her fate forever. In Japan, Warlords of Sigrdrifa Rusalka was released over 2 volumes, but for the English release, Yen Press has combined them into one thick omnibus. While I'm usually not a fan of the approach, I think this tie-in works out since Volume 1 is very much Rusalka's original story, while Volume 2 makes better use of the overarching storyline, so we get the best of both worlds. I haven't actually watched Warlords of Sigrdrifa, so I picked this collection up blind, going only off to the synopsis and the fact that I am a fan of Nakasuki's work. Despite having no pure knowledge of the series, I enjoy this series a lot. As always, Nakasuki as an author manages to portray the reader's expectations and deliver something far more interesting than you first expect. Earlier, I expected Rusalka would join Amy's group and the two books will be about her mission here. So I was shocked when we did the first chapter or two that it did happen. I'm glad it went in this direction instead of, because it gave Rusalka's story a lot more emotional weight than it will have otherwise. And like I said earlier, this is nicely balanced out by the second book, which you'll see Rusalka taking part in the routine missions more actively with a new squad, so we get to experience and sort of camaraderie in daily life. This balance of highly emotional situations and life or death battles is in keeping with Nakasuki's strengths, as readers of ReZero will be very familiar with. The battle scenes flow well with ample amounts of tension, they detail enough for readers to grasp a clear picture of the scene, but don't get bogged down with long descriptions, which just not enough to keep you turning the page quickly, eager to find out what's next, much like other works from the author. Perhaps most importantly, by the time I got to the end of this collection, I find myself eager to check out the anime adaptation and learn more about the world and characters there. As previously mentioned, Warlords of Sigrdrifa Rusalka comes to the West thanks to Yen Press and has been translated by Dale de Lucia. The translation reads well with no issues to note. Its release is a hardback that includes quarter pages at the beginning, illustrated by Takuya Fujima, but due to its being in 2-in-1 release, the illustrations at the start include those from Volume 2, so you may want to skip past them until you're done reading the entire book. In Japan, Warlords of Sigrdrifa has a second 2-volume prequel series subtitled Sakura, which is set in Japan instead of Europe. It's unclear currently if Yen Press also holds the license of these, or if they are separate license. At least for now, there's nothing further in the schedule, so we may not be getting to those anytime soon, which would be a shame. Overall, Warlords of Sigrdrifa Rusalka is something that existing fans of the franchise will be eager to get their hands on. Meanwhile, newcomers looking for a new fantasy with this popular author or who have a passing interest in the series will enjoy themselves as they follow Rusalka's struggles to come to terms with her place in the world. 9 out of 10.